Ever had someone just pop into your head completely out of the blue?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Someone you haven't seen in ages, or maybe barely even know. It feels so random, but what if it wasn't?
Right.
Today, we're diving into a really fascinating idea from Alvin McLean's article, Not Love, Not Lust, Just a Mirror. Basically, why certain people seem to live rent-free in our mind.
Exactly. And the core insight, the thing we're really exploring today is this. Those recurring thoughts. They might not really be about them,
Okay.
but instead they could be a powerful reflection of you.
Mm-hmm.
Aspects of yourself you might not even be aware of. We'll be looking at some, well, frankly, surprising ideas from Jungian psychology.
Jungian psychology. Okay, intriguing. So let's get right into it. Why do certain people get stuck in our heads like that? McLean mentions a Harvard study. Apparently, our minds wander almost half the time we're awake.
Yeah, nearly 47%. It's
Yes.
a lot of mental real estate, as you said. And a big chunk of that wandering, it involves specific people.
Specific people? But why that person? Why not the guy you buy coffee from every morning or your best friend?
Precisely. And look, it's easy to jump to conclusions, isn't it? Unresolved feelings, baby attraction, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But McLean, who's drawing on Carl Jung's work here, suggests there's actually a much deeper mechanism at play.
Jung. Okay, yeah, this is where it gets really interesting for me. McLean talks about Jung's idea of projection. And it's important, right? This isn't just the casual way we sometimes use the word.
No, not at all. It's more than just assuming someone else feels how you do. Jung saw it more like a psychological mirror.
A mirror.
Yeah, reflecting something inside you that maybe you haven't fully acknowledged or dealt with.
Okay.
So when someone consistently occupies your thoughts, Jung's idea is that they're often mirroring back parts of yourself, things you've ignored, maybe suppressed, or just haven't fully embraced yet. Jung actually said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. That irritation or even, intense admiration, it can be a clue pointing inwards.
Wow. So it's like they're carrying these unacknowledged bits of us around. McLean shares a great example. Emma, this teacher, she couldn't stop thinking about a colleague who was super confident.
Yeah, I remember that one. This colleague, she always spoke her mind, set boundaries.
Yeah.
Things Emma really struggled with.
Right.
And through therapy, Emma had this kind of aha moment. She realized her fixation, her annoyance even, wasn't really about the colleague's confidence itself.
What was it then?
It was that the colleague embodied a boldness, a directness that Emma herself had pushed down for years, always trying to be agreeable.
Okay, that makes sense.
And interestingly, as Emma started, little by little, to speak up more, set her own boundaries, those obsessive thoughts about the colleague just started to fade.
So the mirror, like you said, it had done its job.
Exactly. It wasn't needed in the same way anymore.
That's fascinating. It really flips the script on why we think about people. McLean gives other examples too, right? Like that super carefree friend who maybe gets under your skin a bit.
Yes. They might be reflecting your own sort of buried desire for more freedom, maybe less responsibility sometimes.
Or the really ambitious coworker you might judge a little.
Could be your own ambition trying to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And that person who's maybe too emotionally open for your comfort.
Mm-hmm.
They could be mirroring a vulnerability inside you that wants to be seen, to be acknowledged.
This seems to lead into another big Jungian idea McLean brings up, the shadow self. Now, shadow sounds kind of dark.
It does, but it's not necessarily about evil or anything sinister. It's more about the parts of ourselves we just don't readily see or accept. The unconscious parts.
So not bad, just unseen.
Exactly. The shadow holds all those bits, traits, desires, feelings that we might find unacceptable or maybe we learned to hide growing up.
Yeah.
They're often unlived parts of us. McLean uses a really good analogy, actually.
Yep.
He compares it to the blind spot in your car. Ignoring it is risky, but if you check it, you get a much clearer, fuller picture of what's around you.
Okay, I like that. So these people stuck in our heads, they might be sitting right in our psychological blind spot, in our shadow.
And McLean really stresses this point.
Mm-hmm.
The stronger your emotional reaction to them, positive or negative, intense admiration or intense irritation, the more likely it is they're reflecting a significant piece of you.
That intensity is the key.
It often is. He tells another story, Richard, a very disciplined financial analyst, right?
Yeah.
And he was completely fixated on this free-spirited artist he barely knew. He kept thinking of her as chaotic, kind of judging her lifestyle, but couldn't get her out of his head.
So what was going on there? What was she mirroring?
Well, it turned out Richard was actually really artistic as a kid, talented even. But he felt pressured, family expectations, to pursue a more responsible, stable career.
Ah, so the
Yeah.
artist.
She was the mirror to his own repressed, unlived creative side. All that chaos, he judged, was actually the freedom and creativity he denied in himself.
And did thinking about her fade for him too?
Yes, same pattern. He eventually, cautiously, took an art class, started painting again, and as he engaged that part of himself, the obsession with the artist just softened. It dissipated.
It seems like a recurring theme. Engaging the reflected part dissolves the fixation.
It often does. And this idea that these fixations point towards something we need to integrate leads MacLean into Jung's concepts of the anima and animus.
Okay, these terms sound a bit academic, maybe.
They can sound it, yeah. But
Yeah.
basically, Jung wasn't talking strictly about gender here. Anima refers to the more typically feminine energies or qualities within us, all things like intuition, relatedness, emotional depths, creativity.
Right, and animus.
Animus refers to the more typically masculine energies like logic, assertiveness, structure, action. Again, present in everyone. MacLean's point, drawing on Jung, is that intense fixations can highlight an imbalance. We might be drawn to someone embodying the qualities we've underdeveloped in ourselves.
So if I'm super logical, always in my head, I might find myself thinking constantly about someone really emotional and intuitive.
Exactly. Or vice versa. A natural caregiver might be fascinated by someone fiercely independent. A meticulous planner might obsess over someone totally spontaneous. It's like the psyche is nudging you towards wholeness, towards balancing these energies.
Wholeness, I like that. There was another story, Maya, the lawyer.
Yes, Maya, very logical, analytical lawyer. And she becomes completely fixated on this guy from a wellness retreat who was, well, her polar opposite. Very emotionally fluid, spiritual, expressive.
Total opposites.
Totally. And MacLean suggests he embodied everything she felt she had to suppress for her high-pressure career. The journaling, the creative outlets, the emotional honesty.
And for her, too, engaging those parts helped.
It did. As she started, tentatively, to bring those qualities back into her own life, more creativity, allowing her emotions, the fixation on him faded. But not like a breakup, MacLean says. More like healing,
Yeah.
integration.
Healing. That's powerful. It really shifts the focus from them to us.
Absolutely. And this whole process ties into what Jung called the transcendent function.
Okay, another term. What's that about?
Think of it as the psyche's natural tendency to try and unite these opposites within us, to hold the tension between them, like logic and emotion, or structure and freedom.
And that tension creates something new.
That's the idea. Jung said something like, the confrontation of two opposing positions creates a tension charged with energy and a birth of something new. So these recurring thoughts about someone different from us, they might be part of that process, signaling a need for balance.
The psyche trying to balance itself out. Wow. MacLean also mentions synchronicity, right? Those weird coincidences.
Yeah, those meaningful coincidences that seem to have no logical cause. Thinking of someone and then they text you seconds later.
Or dreaming about someone you haven't seen in forever and then bumping into them on the street.
Exactly. It's easy to just brush them off as chance, and sometimes they might be. But MacLean, drawing on Jung again, suggests they can sometimes be little clues connected to this inner mirroring work we're talking about. Like the inner world and outer world are briefly, meaningfully aligned.
Like a little nudge from the universe, maybe?
Perhaps. Or just the psyche highlighting something important.
Yeah.
Now, if these thoughts become really bothersome, obsessive even, MacLean brings up a Jungian technique called active imagination.
Active imagination. Okay, how does that work? It sounds active.
It is. Instead of trying to push the thoughts away, which often just makes them stronger, you actually engage with them consciously.
How? Do you talk to them?
Sort of. You get comfortable, maybe close your eyes, picture the person who's stuck in your head, and then you inwardly ask them, why are you here? What do you represent for me? And the crucial part is to then just listen. Allow whatever thoughts, feelings, images, or words come up in response, without censoring or judging them. Remember, it's not really about the actual person out there.
It's about what they symbolize in your mind.
Exactly. It's the dialogue with a part of yourself, using the image of that person as a doorway.
MacLean shared an example of this too, didn't he? A woman thinking about her ex.
Yes, she used active imagination and realized that for her, her ex symbolized her own buried creativity, a part of herself she'd neglected.
So what did she do? Call him.
No, that wasn't the point. She realized the message was internal. She started writing again, poured energy into that. And guess what?
The thoughts about the ex faded.
They did. The message had been received and acted upon.
That's incredibly practical, actually, a way to work with the thoughts instead of fighting them.
It really is. And for listeners who want a concrete way to explore this without maybe diving straight into active imagination, McLean offers some really useful journaling questions.
Oh, brilliant. What are they?
Okay, so grab a pen. First, who's occupying your thoughts? Just name them.
Simple enough.
Second, what about them gets under your skin or really draws you in? Like what specific qualities?
Okay.
Third, which of those traits stir your strongest emotions, positive or negative?
Pinpointing the intensity again.
Exactly. Fourth, have you suppressed similar traits or potentials in yourself? Be honest.
That's the core of it, isn't it?
It really is. And finally, fifth, what would it look like to express that part of you, even just a little bit, this week?
Oh, I like that last one. It makes it actionable. Not just insight, but doing something small.
Precisely. It's about taking that reflection and starting the integration process, even in a tiny way.
So McLean is essentially reframing these persistent, sometimes annoying thoughts. They're not just noise.
No, he sees them as invitations. Invitations for growth, for integration, for remembering forgotten pieces of ourselves.
It reminds me of that other Jung quote McLean included. Something about the unconscious.
Ah, yes. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate.
Wow, that really lands. It suggests we have more agency than we think if we pay attention to these inner signals.
Absolutely. It encourages us to maybe sit with these thoughts sometimes instead of immediately trying to shut them down, to listen to what they might be trying to tell us.
So the big takeaway from McLean's article, the heart of it, is that the person you can't stop thinking about, they might not actually be the point at all.
Exactly. They could be a reflection, a mirror showing you parts of yourself, maybe guiding you back towards a more complete, authentic you. McLean ends with a beautiful line.
What's that?
They were never just them. They were you, pointing the way back home.
That's really powerful. It completely changes how you might look at those recurring thoughts.
It does, doesn't it?
So maybe a good question for all of us listening this week is, who's currently living rent-free in your mind? And take a moment, get curious. What might that person be telling you about you?
A great question to ponder. And hey, if this deep dive into McLean's piece and these Jungian ideas has sparked something for you, we really encourage you to maybe look more into Jungian psychology or the concept of the shadow self.
Yeah.
So much more there.
Definitely food for thought, a fascinating exploration.